All right, when you've taken an Uber ride, as soon as that ride's over, you get a little prompt. Hey, rate your driver. Now, maybe you've had a ride without the best service, and you're tempted to give a low star rating, but you're also worried about what happens next. Well, our next guest, journalist Marissa Miller, joins me now. You can read her bylines everywhere from the Wall Street Journal to the New York Times, and her latest for Mike is all about Uber ratings and how they actually work. Marissa, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a great pleasure to have you on here. So what led you down this path, by the way? Because I've thought about this many a time. What came into your head to say, hey, I want to look at this, and I want to find out what actually happens when you give a one-star rating?
Right. So, one of my primary goals as a journalist is to address how technology impacts our daily lives and really question, why we interact with certain technologies and on our mobile device in a certain way. And so something that I try to look at is things that we take for granted. And at this point, that's rideshare services, Uber. But they're tools that really illuminate much larger of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I noticed is that these apps, these peer-to-peer apps, are designed to elicit a form of pathos because, they are more than just transactional. They're this kind of intimate exchange. You're alone in a car with an Uber driver or a Lyft driver, and so you feel guilty almost, preventing them from being able to provide for their families.
Yeah.
Give them a one-star review.
And
so there's really a lot at stake.
Yeah. So how true is that there? That one-star rating could knock them out of the service, and you are literally, taking away their livelihood.
Yeah, exactly. So that number is actually definitely tied to their ability to make a living. And the rating, I believe, differs from city to city, but it's generally in the ballpark of 4.6.
Uh-huh.
And that's difficult to maintain if you're not actively soliciting riders to give you 5 stars. There's been hundreds of incidences of drivers flat out blatantly asking riders to give them perfect scores regardless of the quality of service that they deliver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm looking at your article there, and embedded in that, you've got some tweets of photos. One is like, sorry for not speaking good English. I'm a father of 6 kids. If my rating falls below 4.5 stars, I will lose my job. So please give me 5 stars. I mean,
it's really sad.
Yeah. And now, does it get worse? If you're a woman, is there even more pressure on you because you're sort of worried, well, what if this driver can track me and find out I rated them?
Right. There's no data that I could find that back that up, but it's definitely anecdotal, certainly from personal experience and, from women I've spoken to. And, it becomes even worse than, they know where I live or, they're going to seek revenge. It becomes, okay, maybe there's going to be some violence attached to it. There have been countless of horrifying reports of women either getting harassed or assaulted, raped, murdered, and it sort of plants the seed in our minds that all rideshare drivers, are capable of these horrible crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so while it's definitely an anxiety, that anxiety is very real. I did ever speak to Uber management and several Uber drivers, and they mentioned that it's nearly impossible for them to track your review to your account unless you've actually identified a unique trait to your ride. But, it is definitely a real fear. They know where you live. They know your phone number. They know what you look like. And so the fear is definitely there.
So what do Uber and Lyft say about this?
They vehemently deny that this is possible. But they say, it's definitely impossible to track any negative reviews because we have our 24/7 safety team receiving these reviews and getting to them immediately. But that is impossible to believe because the drivers also received those reviews.
Now, if you don't review right away, like let's say you just because you don't have to necessarily send a review at that moment, you can delay it a day or two or the next time you use the app. Is that something that people should think about if they're concerned?
Yeah, absolutely. If you review your ride, let's say 5 seconds after, getting out of the car, it's likely that they'll be able to track it to you. But if you leave some grace period of say 24 hours, 48 hours, chances are it's going to get lost in the shuffle.
So what happens when somebody gets that 1-star rating? Do we know like the actual ramifications? Is it actually beneficial that you'll get, that driver will improve?
Yeah. So one thing that Uber drivers have noted to me is that they feel sort of upset when they don't have an explanation attached to it, because many of them are from the service industry and do want to provide great quality service to their customers. And so it's very frustrating for them when they get 1 star without an explanation attached to it.
Mm-hmm. So your thoughts on this is that we should be honest when it comes to our Uber ratings?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, if you're giving someone 5 stars for a car that was, let's say it was a filthy environment in there, or if your driver was, driving recklessly, not like sexual assault aside, it's really, the problem is going to persist if you're rewarding someone for service that they did not provide. And you're making the environment a lot safer and enjoyable for future passengers if you're honest with your reviews.
Now, in your article, you do have some stats here about Uber drivers. The number of Uber drivers in the U.S. who were accused of sexual assault. Yep. 103 apparently is the number there. But
right.
But I just want to ask you, because of this, the Uber system, the Lyft system, where you have, a photo of the driver, you have their license plate, you have GPS tracking of the ride, you get to rate that driver. Mm-hmm. Do you feel at the end of the day that system is more safe than, just a regular taxi? You get into a car and you don't have any of those things?
Yes, I think so. But, evil people I think people will commit evil things regardless of the systems in place to prevent it.
Gotcha.
And, there's, at the end of the day, if something egregious happens, it's your word against theirs. And that's the ammunition they need to continue committing these horrible crimes. There's no videotape. There's no audio recording. So really, it makes sense that someone can get away with these things when they're alone in a car with you.
We've seen other services, I'll bring up the point, the Netflix example, where they switched from stars to up or down, thumbs up or thumbs down.
Right.
Do you think that would be beneficial in this rideshare system, not to have I think that's why people are confused sometimes, because they don't, do I give a 3? Do I give a 4? If it was more binary, do you think it would help out?
Right. I think the binary could actually worsen it, because then it's more black and white. Whereas, then they'll kind of start putting themselves in these boxes where it's like, if I get a thumbs up, then I'm great. There's no room for improvement. If I get a thumbs down, then I'm awful. I should quit my job. I should join the circus. Right. Whereas if there's 3 stars, maybe they can sort of question, what did I do well that I can continue to do for future rides, and where did I go wrong that I can sort of work on. Mm-hmm. So I think humans are definitely multifaceted creatures. I don't think it makes sense to look at things from a binary perspective. And so I do think that the star rating does make sense as long as you feel comfortable attaching an explanation to it. I think that's the most effective means of making it a safer place for everyone.
Journalist Marissa Miller, her latest is for mic.com, mic.com, all about Uber ratings. Thanks for taking the time this morning.
Thank you for having me.